The summer going into my senior year of high school, my friends and I heard about a bonfire/rave type of party some kids from a neighboring school were throwing. My friend Tyler knew the kids orchestrating the event and asked if we could come. They told us the more the merrier, and then the kids told Tyler where the party was going to be. The party was a bit of a tradition. The seniors of the school had thrown the party at the same location in the middle of the woods near the National Forest in our area for the past 7 or 8 years. It was sort of a big deal. People would bring booze and drugs, and they would have a bonfire rave type of party before senior year started. My group of friends were very excited to be going, because we've heard older kids from our school talk about how much fun it was and that kids from many neighboring schools would be there, not just kids from the host school. The only problem was, we would have to be going in separate groups. I had to work late, and Tyler did as well, as did one of our other friends, James. The day came, and our big group of friends met up with the host of the event and followed them out there. They said that it was pretty easy to find, but they could see how someone could get lost very easily since there were many forks in the trail, and if you missed one, you weren't going to make it to the location. I noted that, and picked Tyler up after work. We waited for James to get off of work, and then we headed out to the party at around 8 p.m. It was just starting to get dark when we arrived at the main dirt road we were supposed to take, and we called one of our friends at the party who gave us vague directions as he was drunk and slurring his words. We got the gist of what he was saying, and took off. After about 40 minutes of driving in the woods, we decided to call again and ask him what we should be looking for. Our friend picked up, but he was too far gone. Luckily, a kid who had his wits about him took the phone and started talking to us. He asked us if we were near a river. We had just crossed over it, and I told him that. He said that we were too far if we crossed the river, and we should turn around and head back to the beginning as we probably missed the very first turn in the darkness. We turned around and were heading back, but since I am bad with directions, we made another wrong turn, but I thought we had made it because I saw a bright light up ahead. It looked just like a bonfire, but a lot smaller than I thought it would be. As we approached, I noticed there was no clearing, and the host mentioned that we would see a whole bunch of parked cars there. Also, there was only one car visible, a big truck. I turned my lights off and used my parking lights as a source of visibility because I was a little creeped out. Tyler and James asked me if I was being a pussy and told me to hurry up because they wanted to party. When we got close, I saw that there were about 5 or 6 people around the bonfire, and when we got close, they all looked towards us. I parked the car and turned off the engine and started to gather my drinks when James said, "What the fuck? Are they wearing robes?" A few of the people stood up, and it did indeed look as if they were wearing black hooded robes. I was really worried at this point. It looked like we had stumbled upon some kind of cult or something in the middle of their meeting. The group of people started moving towards my truck, and that is when I bitched out and turned the car and got the hell out of there. I got my little Ranger turned around and was going as fast as I could away from that group of people. I thought we were all good, but after a little while I saw headlights coming up behind us. I was worried because I didn't know what the heck was up with the vehicle behind us. Whatever it was they wanted, I was 100% against stopping and meeting this group of people. We were at least 40 minutes from the main dirt road, and then another 30 minutes from civilization. We were in the middle of nowhere. The car was gaining on us when all of a sudden it was black. No lights were behind us anymore. It was odd, and then Tyler said, "They turned around." For some reason they turned around. Obviously we weren't being pursued anymore. But I was done with the woods and the night for now. We ended up making our way out of the forest and then back home. The next afternoon, I woke up to several missed calls from our friends who were at the party, and they left messages and several texts. I told them that I would explain everything when we were together because it was far too much to text, and a phone call would take too much time. Long story short, they didn't believe me when I told them what happened. Even after asking Tyler and James, they still didn't believe. They thought we were making the whole thing up, but unfortunately we weren't. So, somewhere in the forest of Michigan, there's a group of people who meet in the woods at night wearing black robes around a bonfire, doing who knows what. The names and identifying details in this story have been removed or changed to protect the identity of the victims, their families, and individuals. Any events, names, or places mentioned that are the same in reality are merely coincidental. This story I am about to tell, I never thought I would actually be able to tell it until now. I'm a 22-year-old woman now, and writing what happened 5 years later. The time between then and now has brought me to be able to face it. I was born in Europe and raised in a very closed-off community with several brothers and with an identical twin sister. She and I were Irish twins. Both of our names started with an E, and within 2 years after my birth, we moved to the United States. My birth father and uncle raised us to the best of their abilities and never once failed to care and love us. We were born strong pagans and stayed true to our religion and our culture. Things would soon change when we were taken away from them and placed into foster homes. We went through a couple of homes, which they were fine and nice, but when we got to the third home, things changed. There was only a father. My sister and I never saw any sign of a mother. The first few months of us being there, my sister and I shared a room, but when I turned 9 or so, I cannot fully remember the age, life turned for the worse. My foster father started becoming very hostile towards my sister and me. I would always step in and defend her. At first, it started with loud talking and yelling, and then it escalated to physical violence. We lived in an area that had many homes nearby, but the father often threatened us, saying that if we said anything to anyone, he'd end my sister's life. When I was 12, I was removed from the house and forced to sleep in a garden shed. This father, who was supposed to protect us and love us, was abusing us and had long since lost his sanity. He was a heavy, violent alcoholic, and he would often use me as his personal punching bag. By the time I was 14, he took things to a whole nother level. He would have his way with me, and I would remain in that shed all year round. Not long after his last session, we'll call it, I found out that I would be having a child. I didn't know what to think, and I was scared for both me and my baby. My sister did much research about how to deal with everything leading up to the birth. She helped me through the pregnancy and labor by grabbing everything that she could get her hands on. When I approached the 9th month, I gave birth to a little girl. It was only a month after she was born that the worst was yet to come. One night, the father was in a drunken rage. I feared the worst and curled up in a corner. I held my tiny girl to my chest with tears running down my face. He gave me this evil, wicked grin and then walked away. He left the door open, and as he came back, he was gripping my sister by the arm. She had told neighbors what was happening, despite knowing the consequences. It was then that he took a knife from his back pocket and began stabbing her. I screamed and begged him to leave her be. I begged for her life, but it was too late. He tossed her body aside, and then he came walking towards me. I thought I was next, but I would have been dead wrong. He grabbed my little girl from my arms, hung her by the leg, and sliced her throat like a premature runt slaughtered piglet. I screamed in horror, for I can tell not how long. It took days, maybe weeks after their deaths before the police finally came and found me. I was extremely thin, starved, and weak. They saw what happened to my baby, because the father had left her for me to see the consequences of disobeying him. They asked me about my sister, and I just sobbed. I could only say weakly, "Willow tree." They discovered my sister's body. Both my sister and my little girl have now been buried. To this day, my past haunts me, and I'm still very paranoid, as that home is just down the street from where I live now. If you would like a chance to have your story featured in an upcoming video, make sure you check the description for information on how to submit your stories. I hope you all had a great weekend, and a big thank you to everyone who showed up for the live stream, as well as a huge thank you to Eden and Corpse for joining me on it. Hopefully next time we set something up, we can get Lazy and Be Busted to come in on it. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I want to take a second to thank you all for sending in your stories. This channel really does depend on them, and I wouldn't be able to be here narrating stories if it weren't for you all. so I really appreciate it, and keep sending in your stories. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next video. And just remember, it's always scarier if it's true.